Today's episode is brought to you by Mars Energy Cream. Mars Energy is a new way to get a boost. Think energy drink, but it's a lotion you rub on. It's caffeine infused and has taurine just like energy drinks do. That's Mars with a Z, energycream.com. What's up, Sons of Montezuma? San Diego State football returns to action this Saturday on the Islands versus the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. And for everyone's sake, they must come home with a win. So I'm giving you a trigger warning. Before you keep playing this episode, the guys and I are very open and speak very candidly as we usually do. So if you cannot handle harsh criticisms of the program's performance on and off the field, I would advise you just don't listen. Sons of Montezuma is an SDSU supporters group, NIL creator, and a podcast. But we are also completely independent from SDSU. So you've been warned.
Jack Browning, the senior out of Lakeside, California. Snap is good. Kick is plenty long, and he hit it. Whoa! 61 yards. That might have been good from 70 yards.
San Diego State historically done a masterful job there.
Warriors throw. Got a man. It's Harris again. And he's gone. And he's in. 54 yards. Air Force touchdown. Finalist for sure.
Every single season, no doubt.
Larry, another strike. This time Rosnos. Touchdown. This is answering that. Maiden pulls it. That ball's picked off. It's intercepted. This one's going back. This is a touchdown. Even though San Diego State had won 9 of the last 10 against Air Force, almost all those games were nail-biters and tight. This one wasn't. Air Force absolutely works. San Diego State 49-10.
All right, Aztec Nation, welcome back to a new episode of the Sons of Montezuma podcast. Before you do anything, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button down below. When you do so, it makes the algorithm go crazy so more Aztecs fans across the nation, across the globe can watch and check out what we're going to talk about today. Of course, my name is Mateo. You can find me at Mateo San Diego. I'm your host, and I'm joined with my 2 football co-hosts today. After a bye week, everybody is well rested. K5 James, he's protecting our borders from sea to shining sea. K5 James, what is going on? Good to see you.
What's up?
And of course, the dirtiest of the Dans. Man, I'm reading your message, and I know it's been a grueling season, but you got to take that down. You can't have that up there, man. Come on, I'm gonna take you out of your misery. We're at the halfway point of the season. Dirt ball, damn. You got nothing to say, nothing to say for yourself. I don't know what you guys did. Yeah, I don't know what you guys did on this bye week to kind of clear your palate, clear your brains, your poor Aztec brains from the way this football season has gone. I could tell you one thing, like that very next day, I took my butt to church and watched some folks, baptize themselves in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. And from my viewpoint, it was refreshing, like to get away from football. I went to a high school game, went down and checked out Sweetwater High. Like just being in that environment was really cool to see, right? You see the kids get out there and just seeing from a local level. And then, of course, staying busy with the basketball side of Sons of Montezuma. We got our new Jaden Ladie NIL gear coming out and just preparing ourselves for the new basketball season. So, it was a much-needed getaway from the way this season has gone. How'd you spend your bye week, James?
Man, I was just doing family stuff the whole time. So I didn't even watch any football pretty much at all. Normally I'd spend all Saturday watching it, but I was just busy doing family stuff. So it's kind of nice to get away from the sport for a little bit, kind of reset, like you said.
I don't blame you. Family time is always good. Dan, what did you do with yourself, Dan?
Gee, I'll tell you what I didn't do was think one thing about Aztec football for 10 days, or it was a needed break, a good time to reflect a little bit, and also a good time to think like just what's going on, So it's just I'm ready to talk about it now. We skipped last week, and I thought that was good for us to skip last week, and now have our thoughts together, and let's talk about what everybody else is talking about.
It was so tough because the game, thank you first off to everybody who showed up at the watch party. We had a watch party at AleSmith Brewery. Can't forget about that. That was the best part, right? I mean, we were all there watching the brutal defeat against Air Force. And, of course, a big thank you to AleSmith. Big thank you to John Schaefer and J.R. Tover on the pregame kickoff show on AM 760. They brought us on. So, I mean, the festivities down there was cool. It was great to see everybody. And, just having a good time despite the game. But, I mean, we do have to talk about the fallout and everything from that game. This game against Air Force, guys, this was something I hadn't seen in Aztecs football in a long, long time. I feel like we can all agree and say this is pretty much a low point in the program. Am I overreacting in saying that, guys, or I mean, do you share my sentiment after watching that Air Force game? James, start with you.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, man. They looked about as terrible as you could look on every phase of the game, pretty much.
They are who we thought they were.
Defense couldn't stop the run or the passing game, so it was pretty much. And then the offense couldn't really get going. They started off well, and I thought we were gonna have a good game, and then Air Force kind of just clamped down, and it didn't allow anything to happen. So yeah, it was rough, man. It was a rough watch.
We were all there together watching, and everything that went on. We were on CBS Sports Network, like they actually put us on the game broadcast. So I mean, everything that was so cool and great about Aztecs football, about Sons of Montezuma and what we're doing was completely eclipsed by this game. I mean, what are your initial takes after losing to Air Force?
Yeah, I mean, you guys talked about the low. I think the only other game I could kind of relate to is the bowl game against Ohio. Was pretty similar and deflating, but at least at that point they had a successful season. This was an embarrassment. And all the coaches, all the players, administration should all be embarrassed. They haven't played well the whole season. Let's just call a spade a spade. They haven't. Even their very first game against Ohio, Idaho State, they just haven't played well. And these are the kids they brought in. They're the coaches. They make a lot of money relative. I mean, maybe they don't make as much money relative to some of the other schools, but they're paid, to have this team perform. And since Brady Hoke's been here, I know we could talk about that 2020 season, the COVID year. But I mean, when's the last time we had like a good offense? Now our defense is, let's call it like it is, pathetic. I mean, the coaches should really feel some pressure right now.
So if you've been living under a rock, you don't know that the Aztecs lost 49-10. So, I mean, yeah, when we're talking about this game, and obviously you guys hear it in our voice, I mean, this was a very tough game to take. Something like that Ohio game, I think that's a good description. I mean, that was in the bowl game, so it was like the ending of that season. It came out of nowhere. But this game, I mean, we're talking about Brady Hoke's fourth season coming back. This is not the type of a performance that you would expect from a coach in his second go round and in his fourth season. So it is what it is, guys. Like, we can't sugarcoat things. We got to talk about what the real is. And the real is that this just isn't a really good team. What's up, Dan?
I guess the thing that's kind of frustrating is that we do these podcasts, right? We do try to bring fans in. You're doing the NIL. We do these gatherings. We do all this stuff for this school. And then you bring people together, even after losing to Boise at a heartbreaking loss as well. And we still get a decent crowd at AleSmith. And for that to happen, and it's just such a bad look, man. It was just such a bad look. And we were on the radio, we're doing all this, you're on the TV, you're doing all this stuff. And it's like, man, if SDSU football gave you or Sons of Montezuma anything to work with Just think of how much like more NIL dollars could be coming in, or how much the brand could be promoted, or how much the school could be promoted. It's just really frustrating. And I mean, it's been frustrating for a couple of years now. Even on the 12-2 year, I mean, the offense was still really bad. You kind of wonder if that was kind of a fluky year. I mean, whatever. But since then, man, it's been a tough watch. We're seeing nobody show up to the games. We're seeing little enthusiasm on social media or the news, and it's just everything that could have went wrong has went wrong. And pretty soon, you know, buyout or not, heads are going to have to roll if it continues.
Well, you bring up a couple things I want to address, because you talk about, like, well, if they could have gave us something better to work with NIL wise, I mean, the attention, all the publicity wise and all that stuff. I mean, Air Force, let's put things in perspective, guys. Air Force, they don't take transfers in, right? They don't have NIL, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, essentially, we're always talking about NIL and you know, how it's the new struggle for G5s like us. But then you go and you put that type of performance against a school that can't even offer NIL. That doesn't, you know, they offer a different type of a how do you say, a lure or benefit, right? And it's a noble one. So, like, if you're going to lose to anybody, I take my hat off and I lose to Air Force every single time. If that's who we're going to lose against, okay. But that doesn't change the fact that we lost in embarrassing fashion. James, I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean, this is, like we said, this is at this stage. I've seen you battle on Twitter. I've seen you, you know, push back against some of the fan base that are calling for heads to roll. And it's not something we're going to shy away from. I mean, this is a Brady Hoke staff. Of course, he established the turnaround here at San Diego State. It's futile, though. At this point, at this stage in the season, we're at the halfway point. And as bad as we all believe it's been, I mean, can you explain why perhaps this might be a little futile for people to be calling for heads to roll at this juncture specifically?
He's definitely not going anywhere this year. During the season, there may be a conversation after the season, but even then, I think the buyout is too high. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. Be ready for Brady Hoke to be the coach next year is basically what I'm saying. So, I mean, fans can get mad about it and talk about it and they call for his head or whatever, but he's not going anywhere. So, to me, it's kind of pointless to discuss it until because it's not like the Mountain West is this gauntlet of a conference that we're looking at a 10-loss season coming up. So they're going to be in every game. Who knows if they'll get to bowl eligibility, but they have a good chance at it. So to me, it just doesn't do any good to talk about it. It's kind of wasting breath, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to say it's wasting breath, because it's the reality. And when you see the majority of fans calling for that, or at least, alluding to that, I think it's pretty safe to say, I mean, the seat is warm, and I think you're saying that. I don't think you're saying it's smoldering hot or anything like that, but it is warm.
One of the things I was going to say is, like, which people have made a good point. Like, they talk about the buyout and whatnot, but Jesus, when you talk about the attendance and what's happening, and attendance, if it's going to continue to plummet, it's going to be pretty significant. And like James will say, yeah, he's not going to be fired, but that's all relative. You lose to Nevada, and you lose to some of these schools, and you don't become bowl eligible. I don't know. There could be, they're going to have conversations there. Now, if you beat the Nevadas, which we should never lose to that team, or the Hawaiis and whatnot, and we scrap into a 6-7 or 7-6 bowl eligible team, I'm not even sure if that's good for the team, honestly. We make a bowl, yay, Brady Hoke's a hero. People won't talk about how terrible the conference is. So in some ways, it's like, I know they're never going to do it. They're never going to do anything mid-season, but the longer you let him play, the more he could make his job security a little bit stronger, even though it's mediocre performance, if that.
So one of the things I thought was interesting, and I think it falls in line with what you guys are saying, especially what you're saying, finish there with, Dan, is like we don't play in the world's toughest conference, right? So this next stretch of games is significantly lighter on paper than what we saw in these first 6 games. And Brady alluded to that, right? So if you guys heard his presser, Brady Hoke wasn't slow to point out that 3 of the top 5 defenses in the nation were teams that we played. Air Force is like number 2. Ohio, I believe, is like number 4. UCLA is number 5. So, I mean, those are legit defenses. We all knew Air Force was legit, statistically speaking, right? This is what we're talking about, statistics. Oregon State is not far behind at 30. And Boise, surprisingly, they're down at 112. But the point being is that we played some really, really good competition. Statistically speaking, those can always be, they can always be misrepresented, when you look at who they played and vice versa and all that stuff. I don't know if that makes me feel any better, though, guys, because at the same turn, that's basically saying, okay, well, we had a tough schedule. We played some good teams, but you didn't win any of them. So that just shines a light back at you and showing that, well, you're not a good team because you couldn't beat good teams.
One reason why their stats are so good is because they played San Diego State. I mean, we helped them with that. I mean, we're not some proficient offense that going to ruin someone's defensive statistics. That helps them in the big thing. And let's not forget that, we made Air Force look like freaking a run and shoot offense, going up and down the field, throwing the ball. I mean, they boat raced us. I remember being at the game, at the event, and me and James were talking about, like, dude, we can't even punt it to them with a minute left. They're just going to go down and score. And this is an option offense, dude. This is like, man, it was so bad. When I think back to that game and how like helpless I felt watching it and watching our defense in particular, it was like, it was just like not like anything I could remember.
Yeah, that was about as bad a performance as I've seen from the defense in years. Probably since Hoke's last time.
Like, you literally knew they weren't going to stop them. We knew if we gave them the ball that they were going to go down and score. Like, we had no chance of stopping them.
And the tough part is, like, we ended that first half with a little bit of hope, right? I mean, Jack Browning kicks that, like, all-time Mountain West long field goal. You go into the halftime, you're thinking, okay, it's 21-10. Let's get the offense on track.
I felt like that. I was like, they're going to make some adjustments at half.
Yeah. Oh, they made adjustments, all right. Air Force,
but it was Air Force
holding the ball the whole second half.
Exactly, Air Force was the one that they made the adjustments. They started throwing the ball and just completely ate our defense up.
Having a bye week, sometimes those are good, sometimes those are bad. It just, you never know. The one thing that's bad about it, you got the bad taste in your mouth of the Air Force game for another week. So we have 6 games left that are guaranteed. We got to take each game one at a time, and we want to play more than 6. So that's part of it. We've had some adversity. There ain't any doubt about it, and some of that is self-inflicted. Some of it is just not finishing on things the way we want to finish. So that part of that adversity helps you with your mental toughness, and that's a big part that we have talked about as a team. We played 3 of the top 5 defenses in the country. So give them credit. We got to get better, obviously, but it tells you a little bit about where we're at and who we're playing. We just got to continue to get better and grow as a football team.
Talking about statistics and rankings. So, like, just to put everything in perspective, because that's what we're trying to do today, right? We got to get some perspective on where this team is, where this program is. San Diego State ranks 116th in total defense nationally. And on the offensive side of the ball, they rank 112th in the nation. So, I mean, it's not right on either side of the ball. It's not good. It's not something like what Dan you're saying. It's not going to get butts in seats. It's just, unfortunately, right now it feels just like a perfect storm. Like you said earlier, Dan, from the Final Four on, there hasn't been much good news to come about with the program. You know, I know we've had our successes in other sports here and there, and those shouldn't be diminished. But come on, guys, we all know the big two. This is what college sports is known for: football, basketball. And on the football side, okay, we've seen some other collateral damage. So we're not blind to the fact that some commitments have, since this game, decommitted and have made their choice to move on. Now, I don't want to be saying that it's because of this game. I don't think it's because of this game. I think it's obvious for those of you who are watching and paying attention. The Pac-12 disintegrating was probably the biggest. That's probably the biggest factor, right, Dan? I mean, who are these names? Do you want to list them off?
Well, yeah. I mean, we had 3 decommitments, and Stacey Bay was probably the most thought of. But even when you heard his interviews, when we were going to the Pac-12, because that's what the staff told him, and that's how we got it. One of the reasons he even said that in the interviews, that the staff said, "Hey, we'll be in the Pac-12," and he started recruiting for us. His cousin's still committed on the team, so not making it into the Pac-12, and maybe the staff made a mistake by dangling that, and maybe there could have been other kids that we could have been going after that weren't so adamant about going to a P5 conference. But losing him stuck. I mean, it really hurt because that one, he was actually recruiting for us. And then we lost Wright, the DB. They're both going to go to Arizona probably. They just haven't committed yet. I think maybe if we played well, we would have a better chance. Like, say we were one of the top G5 schools, maybe a better chance of keeping them in. But I think it would probably have been tough regardless. Now, I'll talk about Terrell Cooks. I think this is me just from the stats and the way he's played this year. I think the staff may have given him a little push, a little urge on him. He's a small kid that had really huge offers as like a freshman and sophomore. You look at his numbers, he's not doing anything. And I think we'll probably get a commitment from another running back, perhaps from Texas in the next week or two. So I think that one is a different situation than the other two. But those other two, Wright and Stacey Bay, were going to be tough regardless. Because Wright has actually blown up since he committed to us.
Yeah, Stacey Bay, last time I saw, I believe Stacey Bay has committed officially to Arizona. So that's official from him now.
Yeah, once they decommit, dude, I just don't worry about it anymore. I mean, we've had some decent recruiting classes in the past, and look where we're at. Where we need to improve is in the transfer market, and that's where we could really improve the team. But we haven't been able to take advantage. And then James, I had to ask Mateo. I was like, "What the hell did we ever do to get stuck in the football podcast?" I mean, come on, dude. You know how easy those basketball guys have it?
Yeah, it's real hard work talking about a Final Four team.
Dan's like giving me crap about it. Dan's like, dude, you guys need to be more critical. It's like, dude, we went to the Final Four. What do you want me to say? The greatest shot in Aztec basketball history. I'm on cloud 9 still.
Yeah, and they look good.
I mean, you guys did. One of your writers did compare, I think, our commitment to like LeBron James and the kid from Nevada, Las Vegas, or whatever. He said he's gonna be like the best player in San Diego State history, basically.
Wow.
No.
Yeah, that Mike Makalashki guy.
Aztec Nation, thank you so much for your ongoing support of our Sons of Monty NIL shop at sonsofmontezuma.com. There in the shop, you can purchase the most unique Aztecs-inspired merchandise featuring one of our many student athletes on our NIL team. Like quarterback Jalen Maiden, Keenan Kristen, Makai Shaw, Cooper McDonald, Garrett Fountain, and now just added tight end Mark Redmond and defensive back Des Malone. Your support in the shop directly impacts our student athletes and continues to build Sons of Monty, where we can create for more Aztecs. So check out all of our NIL apparel and more Monty products available now at sonsofmontezuma.com. Guys, where does SDSU football go from here? I mean, we can sit here and list off the all the different factors that are going on right now, and of course, the Pac-12 disintegrating is the biggest one. I mean, that affects recruiting. It affected the butts in seats, if you ask me, this year.
Oh, for sure.
It's just such a letdown, and then it affected the pricing, right? The inflated valuation of the ticket pricing. I mean, that's something we've kind of beaten across the head, for the last several months now. Just realizing that the butts and seats weren't going to be there because the pricing was just so high. Well, now those prices are coming down now, just in time for the UNLVs, the Nevadas, those of the Mountain West Conference. But unfortunately, it's probably going to be a little too late.
No game's going to be easy. I mean, I think we'll be competitive on one side of it, and I think they'll be competitive as well.
No, it's just that team is rough, dude. So if we lose in Nevada,
they are statistically the worst defense in all college football right now. They are at the bottom of the rankings.
I wonder if we'll be able to average more than 3 yards a carry against Nevada.
I mean, is that pretty much the biggest issue here? Because you ask Brady Hoke, and he'll tell you how we're going to beat Hawaii, and that's who we got to play this weekend, this Saturday, 5 o'clock Hawaiian time on CBS Sports, Hawaii. He says that's the biggest thing, right? You got to be able to run the ball. You got to win the line of scrimmage. This is football. This is what you got to do, and we've yet to really do it. But the level of competition is going to go down. But talking about the Mountain West guys, Air Force is there at the top of the rankings. They're 5-0, 3-0 in conference already. They play some of their conference games a little earlier because they have those traditional matchups against, Army, Navy, and I don't know if they play Notre Dame this year. But and then you're looking at Wyoming. Now, I was watching that game. Wyoming beat Fresno State at home in Wyoming, and I knew that was going to be a great game, but I didn't expect Wyoming to beat them. They were in control pretty much that whole game. Did you guys watch that, or you
know what's
got
so
away
crazy
from football?
No, it's so crazy. I didn't know they played. I didn't know who won. I didn't know anything. I literally just me and James hung out. And then even after that game, we came back to the house, watched the fight, and I moved on. I moved on from college football, dude. So tell me what happened.
Well, Wyoming got out to a big lead, and pretty much I think Fresno's backup ended up coming in. Their starter got hurt or something like that. I was kind of loosely watching, right? I was watching between Wyoming and Fresno on one screen, and the other screen I saw Boise against San Jose State. San Jose State should have beat Boise. They were up on them on the road on the blue.
San Jose
and of
State
course,
University.
Boise came back, just basically told Taylor Green to run, and nobody could tackle him, and that was all. But it kind of showed, this year the Mountain West Conference is not. There's no one real dominant team outside of Air Force, I think, at this point. But we'll see. Wyoming and Air Force. Wyoming might give them a run. I think those are the top two at this point. Fresno still has a chance because their defense is solid as well. But, if they don't have that quarterback in there, then forget it. But this year was set up for us. I mean, we there's no reason why we should be talking about a San Diego State team next to last down there with San Jose and Nevada records-wise at this point.
Air Force looks like they might be the Access Bowl team this year. They look really good, man. So it'll be cool watching them. I'll kind of root for them. I always like Air Force, so it'll be nice to root for them to maybe make some noise, maybe make the playoff or something like that.
It just magnifies, though. It just, every team in the Mountain West Conference, if Air Force wins the conference, every team is looking at themselves. I mean, even more intense in the mirror, because there's just no way you should be behind that. But what's left to play for this season, guys? We got Hawaii this Saturday. As we're sitting, and as you look at the schedule, what realistically should the fans be expecting? What should the program be playing for? What is there left?
Pride, dude. I mean, we got to have some pride. That's one of the things that hurts, is that I thought we showed some improvement against Oregon State and even Boise State. We had some bad luck against Boise, and just completely shit the bed against Air Force. But I mean, winning's fun. Obviously we want them to win. It makes it more fun, makes these podcasts more fun. It makes the games more fun. So you go in there, now the back's against the wall. We basically got to win every game, except maybe. So we got to go in there thinking we have to win every game, because there's going to be one or two that we don't.
I mean, is perfection attainable, James, the way you've seen this team and seeing what's next on the schedule?
Absolutely not. But I still think they could win a majority of the games left on the schedule. It's just, what team shows up. The one that started to show improvement against Oregon State and looked good against Boise State, or the one that got blown out against UCLA and Air Force. So I don't know, man. The only good thing about this game against Hawaii is Hawaii doesn't really run the ball that much. So that's good for us, because we can't stop anybody from running the ball. So, and they at least have some ability to defend the pass. So, hopefully our defense can slow them down enough and the offense can get enough done to win this game. Got to start out with the first one, right? Got to win the first one.
Those Hawaii games, though, it's a bad time.
I was just about to say.
It's a different team on the island, man.
Braden Shager, their quarterback, he is top 20 in passing yards. And unfortunately, they've only beaten, Albany and New Mexico State. Otherwise, they haven't won a game. So, this game is a must-win, guys. And to beat Hawaii on the road, on the island, it's not the easiest thing to do. They always play us tough for some reason. Of course, Coach Timmy Chang has brought the run and shoot back. And like what you're saying, James, it's more shoot than run. But that quarterback, he can shoot it. He can sling it. And they got some 5 Texas kids on their starting offense, which is pretty interesting. Their wide receivers they're pretty talented. So they're going to give our secondary a run. But this game, guys, if you lose against Hawaii, we may be saying some different things next week on the podcast if this outcome is not a dub being brought back on the plane.
Against Hawaii, I think what I'm concerned about is actually just our tackling in the secondary. We're not a good tackling team. So you let these guys that are throwing the ball all around. It's one thing to let them catch it. You stop them right there, but you get them running all over the place. You start playing on your heels, and it could be really tough. When I think about it, it's so crazy that when would you ever think that we were an SDSU team that can't run the ball and we can't stop the run? It's weird,
Yeah. Yeah, that is so weird watching another team physically dominate our team like Air Force did, man. So it's not a comfortable feeling. It's not one I'm used to seeing. So hopefully we can get things turned around. Hawaii, I look at their offensive line. They have a small offensive line, dude. I think their center's 6 feet tall and their guards are 6'2", and so hopefully the defensive line can get some pressure. The front six can get some pressure. We'll see.
And that was the struggle last week or 2 weeks ago, against Air Force. Talking with Coach C was like, okay, well, this game against Air Force, you're not looking to get pressure. You just got to play assignment football, right? You gotta pick the right gap if you're gonna come in from linebacker position or safety position. And it just seemed like it wasn't so much. It looks like we were getting completely out physical, right? But then it's like, well, that's such a tough offense to game plan for. If your eyes are bad, if you're not sound in your assignments. And now we got to play this run and shoot style, which you got to be sound in your assignments and your eyes as well. So, I mean, it's football. It's what you got to be. And I don't know what to say. I'm with you, James. We'll find out because who knows what we're going to see against Hawaii.
That's what makes the college game so fun, though, man, is you have triple options and run and shoot and spreads, and you have such a varied offense and defensive philosophy from different parts of the country. It's pretty cool to kind of, I was telling you guys a couple weeks ago, Army's offense is fun to watch. They run the triple option out of the pistol. So it's pretty cool. I like watching that kind of stuff.
Like Rocky said, on the grease board, those offenses always win. They always win. I mean, when you're looking at it from a schematic point, but if you got the athletes, which Air Force apparently looks like they do got some much improved athletes. I mean, be interesting to see how far they could take it. What else we need to talk about, guys? I mean, this is not the most fun episode. I mean, the rest of the season is probably not going to be the most entertaining and fun. I mean, we'll see. We hate to take things to like a DEFCON, whatever it's called level. I mean, we don't want to get to that point, but the way the Aztec Nation is responding right now, unfortunately, people get upset and then they just tune out. And if I believe if we were in any other place, I mean, you would hear San Diego sports media on fire, ripping apart, the program, complaining about what's wrong, telling them what they need to do that's right. Of course, the program probably doesn't necessarily want to hear that. Coaches don't want to hear that, right? But that tells me that the sports media fan base cares about what's going on. Since the Air Force game, man, it's been pretty silent. I think people are just waiting for basketball to start and, okay, turn the page. But that can't be. Not if we want things to improve.
I mean, everywhere. I mean, I know everybody's saying it's not going to happen. I mean, people are just, whether obviously he's not going to be fired, but is he the coach for that we want to be leading the school for the next 2 years or 3 years? I mean, he's not on social media. I'm not sure if he's, he has a grasp with how to deal with the NIL situation. Old school coach. I think reading the message board, they just hate that we're stuck. I mean, they hate that we're stuck. That even if we go 5-7 or we're 6-7, that he's going to be back. And why is he going to be back? And why does he have the buyout? And why was he extended? Those are the questions that people are asking. And you don't see JD Wicker anymore. There was a time when JD was 760 once a week, promoting the program. I don't see anything because he doesn't want to hear the questions about Brady Hoke. He doesn't want to hear the questions about the crappy attendance. So, I mean, maybe, it's starting from the top and everybody's kind of depressed with where we're at.
Well, I mean, JD did go on the Aztecs All In podcast. I don't know if you guys have checked those guys out. He went on there and he answered the questions, they were at. I gave him a little pushback on that because it's like they were quoting Nick Canepa, and I see why they did. It was they asked him legit questions, about the experience at Snapdragon and football and all that good stuff. But I think it was more like came across he's going to defend the program, he's going to defend the team, and stick up for them. But it's like, no, but there's real issues. There's real problems. Like, it's not an attack. It's like things need to change.
I heard that
more of an entertaining. It needs to be more of an entertaining product, and it's not just talking about the X's and O's and performance on the field. It's talking about the whole place in general. The experience.
I heard the interview, and there were questions that they let him go skirt by. Honestly, they didn't press him on anything. He said his spiel. They threw him what we would consider, little touchy questions, but they didn't follow up with anything. They didn't press the issue on anything. So, I mean, it was a pretty easy interview, dude.
Well, yeah, I mean, you don't expect to throw some haymakers and stuff like that, but it's just more of the sentiment around the program right now is just, there needs to be, I tweeted out there about the Pac-12, everything rises and falls on leadership, guys. And however way this program goes, it's all about the leadership. What direction does this program want to go? there's things on and off the field, and we're fortunate to have a winning football program for all these years. But I'm sure I hope, I can't say I'm sure. I hope that they're looking very introspectively about, okay, Pac-12 fell apart, but your program should never depend on the conference affiliation. You should be looking inward and like, how could we own San Diego County? How can we better ourselves before any kind of conference, takes you on? And unfortunately, I think that's a hard lesson that I hope we are all learning. Is like, we got to be great ourselves and in our own area before we can even think about another conference or a power conference or, expanding our reach nationally or anything like that,
Like, we don't have the greatest fan base. We all know that. But our fan base was drug along with hints and subtle statements from the administration about what conference we're going to be in for 12 months, basically, right? Adela giving hints, JD giving hints, saying without saying, our staff telling the players this, that, and this. And, dude, at the very end, to have the rug pulled out from underneath you, dude, that's a punch in the face to the fans. Like, it's even hard for me still to this day when I think about it. Like, it still hurts. I'm still bummed. I'm still thinking, like, God, we're never going to get out of this conference. It sucks, Like, I think that's going to be a lot for this fan base to come back from. We're going to have to be like, we're going to have to start to dominate. Otherwise, man, that's tough. That was a cold thing that happened to us. That was a brutal situation that happened to us. And it hurts still. And you're going to have less motivation to go to the games. It's just the biggest kick in the nuts that could have ever happened. And,
but it shouldn't be. It shouldn't have been, right? And I think that's
why?
Where I'll agree with you, but in a weird way.
What do you mean
it's
it shouldn't have been?
It shouldn't have been because of what you said, like being led on for all that time with the subtle hints. Like, if the deal wasn't done, like it shouldn't have been led on in that manner, you know what I mean? But it's easy to say in hindsight. We were all excited. And can you imagine how they're feeling? How can you imagine how the staffers are feeling, how the ADs feeling? Like, they were led on just as much, right? I mean, they're the leaders. So if we're being led on, they're being led on by the powers that be in their areas. And they actually feel the hurt. I would say substantially, because it affects budgets, it affects pockets, it affects, people's livelihoods. Where us, it does to a certain degree, but we could choose not to go to the game. You know what I mean? And I think that's what people are doing.
I mean, I agree that it hurts them, but I mean, they're getting paid. They're getting their jobs. Shit, dude, we're giving the school money. We're giving them our money. We're showing up. We're promoting it. And the fans, these tickets aren't cheap, and when you factor in the ticket prices, the dark cloud that's over with that, they didn't even reach out to us for season tickets for so long because they wanted to get that Pac-12 commitment first. And I mean, it really blew up in their face. And I think it still hurts, still sucks. And I think it'll be a long time before we kind of get the momentum going back and fans are on board and fans are pumped and excited, unfortunately.
So you kind of can't blame fans when they say, certain things on Twitter and they're voicing their displeasure, because in every facet, in every way, we're stuck in a lot of directions. So some type of shakeup needs to happen. Whether it's and I'm not calling for any firings or anything like that, but some kind of shakeup needs to happen, whether it's on the field, off the field. There just needs to be something. And to me, that's leadership, right? Something needs to be done. Nothing's going to take the place of joining a power league, but the performance, all that type of stuff. James, you got anything to add on this, or you're just like,
Man, I'm just I agree with pretty much everything Dan says. That was like a huge gut punch for us, and I think it's going to be a while before we recover, man. It's still, I can't even think, like, I see stuff on Twitter about realignment and the Pac-12 situation, and I can't even read it, man, because I get all disheartened. So I just can't even, like, I just scroll right past it, man. I don't even want to. I've been trying to, like, keep updated on what the two leftover schools are doing, but I can't even really focus on that. I kind of lose interest because it reminds me of how close we were to being there, man. So, yeah, dude, the only thing that can happen is the play on the field can improve. That's the only thing that can change the momentum right now, is if the team starts to play well and they start stacking some wins on top of wins, and that can kind of get the momentum going again and get what is it, Sisyphus pushing the rock up the hill or whatever. get back that momentum going, start building back up towards, we're going to have to kind of look towards next year.
Okay. And honestly, like they could do a lot of stuff too right now to figure out, even without fans in, how to improve the environment of the stadium. Like, they do these surveys. I know tons of people that talked about the environment, about the production level, the enjoyment level, the atmosphere, and there wasn't a damn thing that's changed. There just hasn't been. So I think, like, this is their chance. They have some games left, come up with some stuff, improve the environment. It's still not going to matter next year, but maybe by the end of next year, for a better team, we have a better environment, we could start turning, the perception around a little bit.
Yeah. No, that's good stuff. I think that's ultimately what I'm trying to, like, hit on is, yes, it should have been a big shock to all of us fans, especially, but, like, to the leadership, of course they were duped, but I mean, like, you're still the leader. You're still getting paid to do a job. Like, you're still getting paid to put the best product you can out there, regardless of what conference affiliation you're in. Like, it's your job to make that game day environment like a rock show. It's your job to make sure that you're performing at your best level, regardless of what conference you're in. Like, okay, it happened. It sucked. But I mean, yes, you'll be shocked, but you shouldn't be so shocked to where you're not communicating to the fan base in the right way. You're not, keep moving forward in the right way. Like, this is probably off the record, but I mean, you look at, like, Boise, right? They never even had a chance to get a P5, and that's why, like, there was no realistic talk of them joining. There were no backroom deals, nothing. So they just keep plugging away, and they're not even that great this year, but they keep plugging away, building the brand. It's like, okay, this happened, but it's not like SDSU is going to fall off the face of the earth. Like, you still got to keep performing. Anyways, that's my rant. I don't know if I'll put that on there, but
They signed that bill into law today, allowing San Diego State to offer doctoral degrees. So that's kind of a big deal. That's like a huge thing. So that's some good news we have to look forward to. That'll increase the academic ability of the school to continue to improve.
Absolutely. That's huge news. I mean, geez, let's turn the momentum around with that. Let's go. You guys got anything else? I think we should wrap it up. This was kind of a long recording, longer than I expected, but
yeah, I'm going to take a nap.
It's tired.
Well, thank you guys for joining. I know it's not the easiest one. Hopefully we can turn things around. Hopefully the guys can get a big win on the islands.
Just win,
and slowly notch more games in the win column, because we need it. Need it bad. All right, everybody, thank you for joining this episode. We will be sure to have another Hijos de Montezuma episode this week after getting that shout out by CBS Sports Network. That was so cool, in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month. Very cool. They hit me up during the week of that game against Air Force. They said, we want to put you guys on. One of the first only, if not the first only, Spanish language college football podcast. So definitely check out for that. And of course, basketball season is here. It is going to be here before you know it. We got a lot of great things. So 2 football players we released this week or last week, Mark Redmond, Des Malone, their NIL partnerships with us at Sons of Montezuma. So make sure you check those out, and hopefully we can turn this momentum around. Hawaii this Saturday, 5 p.m. Hawaii time. So I think that's 8 o'clock Pacific or something like that. On behalf of K-Fi James, Dirtball Dan, thank you guys for joining. Make sure you are subscribed on YouTube, and we'll see you all after this weekend's game. SonsOfMontezuma.com. Go Aztecs.
Go Aztecs.
Warrior.
Grind.
Yo, 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 yo.